in terms of relationships. And whatever it's bringing up is gonna bring about some changes. And so Mercury in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto, the planetary ruler of Scorpio, the god of death, lord of the underworld, the planet of transformation, transiting through Aquarius, the fixed air sign symbolized by the water bearer, transforming the community. In order to transform the community, you have to transform. And part of that transformation is through honesty. Again, being encouraged to be honest, to be open, to be truthful. The group, the club, the organization, we all want to fit in to some degree. We want to be loved, we want to be respected, we want to be appreciated. But are you being true to yourself in the process? If you're not being true to yourself in the process, then the respect that you're receiving from the group is not really the respect of you. You're not being respected. You're not being appreciated because it's not you. It's who you're pretending to be. Welcome to the Weekly Transit, your guide to understanding the current planetary and astral alignments. Together, we'll explore how to harness these cosmic frequencies, empowering you to reach your highest potential as you navigate the days ahead. I'm your host, Scott Tajarian. Welcome to the Weekly Transit. This is the week of December 8th to the 14th, where we will be covering 11 transits. Another massive week this week. 11 transits highlighted by Mercury transiting into Sagittarius, Mars transiting into Capricorn, and Neptune returning to direct motion in Pisces. This is the final stretch of Neptune in Pisces before it transits into Aries for the long haul. This is it. This is the swan song of Neptune in Pisces in our lifetime. Transits into Aries. That happens next year. When is that? Oh my God. I'm looking at my notes. Oh yeah, January 26th. So we'll get into all that in detail. Before that, I do have some news. I'm a dad now. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. Wow. What a trip. What an intense couple of weeks it has been. I can't even begin to describe the intensity that I've felt these last couple of weeks leading up to the birth of my children. I'm not going to get too much into the details, just, for the privacy and protection of everyone involved. But and also because it's like, does anyone really care? It's like, it seems like everybody wants to share their birth story, but it's like, I don't think that people really care. I don't know. Maybe they do. But what I learned from this whole experience, it's something I've been harping on this last year since early January when the North Node transited into Pisces. How from January 11th to I think it's like July 26th of next year, the North Node is transiting through Pisces. And this is a time to release control, to have faith, to just trust in the grander picture of everything. And boy, oh boy, is this North Node in Pisces taught me so much about faith and releasing control. Because like when you know where the planets are constantly and you're waiting for your children to arrive, and I'm looking at all these transits that I deem that I deem as perfect, perfect for me, for our family, the children need to be born on this day, at this time, and then everything we'll live happily ever after. Yeah, that's not a part of the plan. And we had a birth plan, and we had to release control of that birth plan and have faith that the other direction that we were going would work out and bring us 2 healthy babies and a healthy mom, which it did. I thought that maybe the children would be Libra. They say twins come early. Then the sun transited into Scorpio, and I was like, oh, yes, my children are going to be Scorpio, just like me. And then the sun transited into Sagittarius. And I love Sagittarius people. Delisa Hawking, my good friend, who I do our weekly chats on her YouTube and Facebook channels, is a Sagittarius. Some of my best friends are Sagittarius. I knew that Sagittarius was an outside shot, but I had no idea that Gabriella would be pregnant in December. That just seems so far-fetched. I didn't even think that as a possibility. And that's when the children were born, in December. Yes, with Gemini rising on the horizon. The sign of the twins. So interesting. So I'm just so grateful for Gabriella, of course, my amazing wife, her strength, her focus, her generosity and spirit, her determination. She is my hero. She's my hero. And I told her that several times during this whole process. And I still feel that way. In the way that she is conducting herself as the mother to my children. Grateful to our doctor, our doula, the midwives, everyone who cared for Gabriella and our children at the hospital. Gabriella's mom, my sister, my mom, my friends, my family, my clients who, have given me just such a wide breadth of rescheduling and just, no idea when we're going to be meeting again. Everyone is just so fluid and open and allowing us to have this experience and time together leading up to the births and after the births. I want to thank all of you, all the listeners out there who've been sending me kind messages over the last several weeks. I'm sorry if I haven't gotten back to you. These last couple of weeks were so intense. It's like I felt like a pitcher during a no-hitter. It's like nobody talked to me. Just nobody talked to me. I can't even think right now. Now I feel relieved because I've got 2 human beings that weren't here a week ago are now in my house. It's like, wow. Incredible. 50 years old and a father for the first time. I feel very fortunate, very grateful, and very grateful for all of you out there listening who support me and in supporting me, support my family. So grateful for you. The 2026 astrology calendar is out. Many of you purchased that over the weekend, last weekend. It's still available. It's going to be available rest of this year, into next year. I think there's a lot of value in the calendar or guide. I'm not going to call it a calendar because it's not a calendar. Like I know some people have calendars where it's like you see the boxes of the month, like a calendar where you use the boxes and the dates and different listings. That's not what this is. This is a guide. It's a guide, and it's a guide that breaks down all the major transits for the year and then breaks them into months and then weeks. And each month, each week has themes, has bullet points, has questions for you to ask and to ponder. It's really meant to be a support for you throughout the year. So it gives you an idea to look forward to what are the main themes for the year, and what are the themes for each month, what are the themes for each week of each month, and what are the questions that you need to be asking yourself to support you through each week, each month, and the year of 2026. So if you're interested in that guide, it is available on my website, theweeklytransit.com, and I will put the link in the show notes. And I hope if you do purchase it, that it does support you in the year ahead. I'm curious to hear from you. Always happy to receive your feedback, especially when it's positive. I can always use the encouragement, but I most importantly want to know that what I created is something that is supporting you, because that's why I created it. It's something that I'm going to use myself in navigating the year ahead and really planning out the each week, the weekly transit, which you're listening to right now. So this is the first time that I've actually published something like that, and it felt really good to do it, and I'm really excited for next year's, all right, not even 2026, like 2027, because I just feel like now that I have the template out, each year is just going to get deeper and more comprehensive and easier to follow. Hopefully it's inspiring and empowering to you. That is my intention in creating this guide. Oh, yes, and one other announcement I wanted to share with you is I was invited to be on another podcast that was put together by my friend Sean Castles, who is like my soul brother. He was born literally the day before me. It's such a trip to meet somebody who was born so close to you, and you can really see how you reflect with them. But Sean put together a podcast called Ultra World, and this podcast is like a soccer fan's voice from the stands. It's a podcast that covers what it is to be a fan. It's more about the fan bases of Premier League soccer teams rather than the teams themselves. So Sean and his partner Mark Erne are the hosts of this podcast, and they invited me on to give an astrological perspective of the fan bases of each of the Premier League teams based on when these teams were formed. So we went back and we looked at the dates that the teams were actually formed, and then we talked about the astrological nature of the fan bases of these teams. And so it was really interesting. I would encourage you to listen, whether you are a sports fan or not, because we get into that astrological perspective. If you have someone in your life who is a sports fan, especially if they're a fan of Premier League soccer, then and maybe they're like, oh, I don't really like astrology, or maybe they are into astrology. Either way, it's kind of a nice bridge between sports and astrology. And I'm a huge sports fan, as many of you who listen to this podcast know, and it's always fun to talk sports and astrology, which is kind of a unique match. So I'm going to put the links to that show in the show notes, and I hope you give it a listen. So let's get into the week. The first transit of the week, Mars, the god of war, the planet of action, aggression, and conflict, in Sagittarius, squaring Saturn in Pisces. So Mars in Sagittarius, squaring Saturn in Pisces. Sagittarius, mutable, fire. Mutable is adaptable, changeable, go with the flow, scattered, but a great multitasker. Fire is extroverted, it's expressive. Pisces is also mutable, but that's water. So Mutable water meets mutable fire, both mutable. They make a strong connection to each other, but fire boils water, water extinguishes fire. Saturn is the god of wealth and time, the planet of restriction, responsibility, hard work, achievement, and authority. So Mars transiting through Sagittarius is igniting our energy towards freedom, truth, honesty, while Saturn in Pisces is urging us to take responsibility for what goes on beneath the surface of our mind, our psyche, the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame, what is occurring deep within you that is creating suffering, the suffering that is preventing and restricting you from feeling free. My brother-in-law sent me a nice text after the babies were born and said, I can only hope to be half the uncle you are. And it just, it really hit me in such a positive way, because he's said so many things to me over the years that I've known him. Him and my sister have been together for 12 years or so. And really some of the things that he shared with me has helped open me up to even wanting to become a father. I mean, I always wanted to become a father, but I don't know if I had the capacity to be a father because I had so much guilt, so much shame, so much regret, so much blame in my psyche. And so with Mars in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces, where are you beating yourself up? You know, this is where the hard truth, the difficult honesty comes to fruition. It's about being brutally honest with yourself, but doing so in a way that is not harming you. It's actually doing it in a way that's helping you through compassion and empathy. Compassion for yourself, empathy for everyone else involved in those thoughts or patterns that have to do with guilt, shame, regret, or blame. So difficult. So difficult. I mean, this transit lasts from December 5th to the 10th, Friday to Wednesday, with the exact square occurring on Monday, December 8th. So from last week to midway through this week, the end of last week to midway through this week, we're in this kind of pressure cooker where it's like time to stop messing around, to really come clean about yourself, and to do so in a way that is compassionate and loving. To recognize that we're all here just learning. And boy, did I learn a lot about myself in the weeks leading up to the birth of my children. Some good, some bad, some ugly. Some things that maybe I could take back, maybe I feel regretful of, maybe I'm shameful of. But through it all, showing myself compassion in recognizing that I'm a soul that's growing here. I have work to do. I don't have all the answers, and so sometimes I'm going to be put in situations that feel incredibly intense, and maybe I'm not going to react the way that I would want to if I wasn't feeling that tension. But in doing so, it's going to help teach me about where I need to grow, where I need to love myself more or love others more. The second transit of the week is Neptune returning to direct motion in Pisces. This occurs on Wednesday, December 10th. This is it. The final degree of Pisces. This is the Leo degree, so there's some drama here. And boy, I'm such a great catastrophier, if that's a word, but I really like to think of all the worst possible scenarios that could happen, and just sit in that fear. And maybe that's good for me. Maybe that's my Scorpio nature, going into the deepest, darkest places I can imagine. But Neptune here is really intensifying as it inches towards Aries, where it will transit into on January 26th of next year. And that's when the dumpster fire gets pushed out into the street. So you want to clear out all that psychological baggage. Everything that you have been cluttering since 2011, 2012, when Neptune first transited into Pisces. I had a Substack essay that I wrote about Neptune. I encourage you to go check it out. Neptune and Pisces. I don't have a free Substack essay this week because, I've been busy supporting my wife and having 2 babies. But I do have the paid, for the paid subscribers. I've been keeping them coming week to week. I did miss 1 week, but it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I did Venus in Sagittarius, and then last week I did the full moon in Gemini. This week I think I'll do one on Mars in Capricorn. So if you're interested in getting that deeper content that's going to really support you, I encourage you to become a paid subscriber on my Substack. But there is free content there, and one of them talks about Neptune concluding its transit through Pisces. And this is really the final push here. So from now until January 26th, the opportunity for you is to just go within yourself, to take time and really reflect upon where you are beating yourself up. How can you be more compassionate with yourself? What can you do to be more compassionate with yourself? Where Neptune is right now is where Neptune was on March 13th, 2025. That's when it transited into its retrograde shadow. Neptune began its retrograde on July 4th. And Neptune will move out of its retrograde shadow on March 30th, 2026, which is interesting because March 30th of this year is when Neptune transited into Aries. So where Neptune is on this March 30th, 2026 is where it was on July 4th. So as you can see, during this period, Neptune hasn't even moved a full 3 degrees. So it's really just taking its time. Like, look into your astrological code. What key points or planets do you have at 28, 29 degrees in any of the water signs? Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, any of the earth signs? Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, any of the mutable signs in addition to Virgo and Pisces? Gemini and Sagittarius. You're getting hit right now. You're getting squeezed right now to go in. Like if you were born with Venus, say at 29 degrees in Sagittarius, you might find that you're giving more than you typically would in a relationship. Maybe you're being overly compassionate. So, overly compassionate to others. It's about being compassionate to yourself as well. I think of like more of a generational thing too. If you go back to everyone who was born, let's say, and this again is probably none of my listeners, but maybe some of the parents, if you were born, if you have kids that were born in say 06, 07, 08, Neptune is squaring their Pluto. So this is a very deep transformative time where their psyche is being rewritten, rewired, and they might be struggling as a result. When you think about it, like if somebody was born in 2008, well, they're 17 right now. So this is a typical transit for somebody who is around that age. So there might be a lot of disillusionment. And just really support them. Support them, and if they are born in those years, the North Node's either in Pisces, 06, 07, 08, it's in Aquarius. So for those that were born with the North Node in Pisces, as it is right now, if you were born in 06 or 07, they got to release control and have faith. Much easier said than done. If you're born in 08, it's about getting out of the drama and thinking about what's best for the group. And with yourself within the group, but the group as well. So I hope this information is helpful to you and whoever you know that was born around those dates, or anyone that has any planet or key point in the latter degrees of the mutable earth or water signs. The third transit of the week, Mercury in Scorpio opposite Uranus in Taurus. This happens, let's do the third, fourth, and fifth transits all together now. These are all happening the same day that Neptune goes direct in Pisces on Wednesday, December 10th. Wednesday, Miercules, Mercurio, Woden's Day. That's Wednesday, the day of Mercury. So Mercury in Scorpio opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus, Mercury in Scorpio trine Neptune in Pisces, and Venus in Sagittarius square the North Node retrograde in Pisces. All these transits are occurring from Monday to Thursday, with the exact aspect occurring on Wednesday, December 10th. So what does this all mean within the shadow of Neptune direct in Pisces? Well, we've got Mercury in Scorpio aligning with Neptune in Pisces. We've got Venus in Sagittarius aligning with the North Node retrograde in Pisces. So there's a lot of Pisces frequency here, focusing on the unconscious, which we just discussed in depth. But Mercury in Scorpio is bringing conscious awareness to your intimate relationships and how you communicate, how you listen within your intimate relationships. Are you able to be vulnerable? Are you able to create space within these relationships for somebody to share something with you that makes them feel vulnerable? Are you able to be empathetic to them? Are the people that you're intimately involved with, are they creating space for you to share your experiences with them? Are they creating spaces for you to be vulnerable with them? I felt so much support from the people in my life these last couple of weeks. So much love. Such a big thing. So Mercury in Scorpio trine Neptune in Pisces is saying, can you be vulnerable in your relationships? Do you feel empathy from those that you are vulnerable with? Are you compassionate towards those that are vulnerable with you? Now with Mercury in Scorpio opposing Uranus retrograde in Taurus, Uranus is the primordial sky god, the planet of revolution, rebellion, innovation, independence, and the unexpected. Transiting retrograde through Taurus, the fixed earth sign symbolized by the bull. This is radically shifting how you communicate in your relationships, in your intimate bonds. This is perhaps giving you the courage to say things that you wouldn't have said before, to do things that you wouldn't have done before. Your whole mental process is being revolutionized because you're getting a clearer idea of what it is you truly value. What do you truly value? In what ways can you revolutionize your self-worth and your values so that you can be more intimate in your relationships? So that you can be more vulnerable in your intimate relationships. Because within those relationship dynamics, you are feeling lifted rather than drained. Feeling lifted. When planets connect with Uranus, it's kind of like if you have a deja vu moment where it's like, oh my God, this again. That moment, if you can, pause, think about how you have reacted in that moment over the time that you've experienced these circumstances again and again and again and again. Is there a relation between one experience and the next in the way that you've responded or reacted? Whatever that habit is that you've formed, now's the time to break it, to do things radically different than you have done in the past. And Venus in Sagittarius squaring the North Node retrograde in Pisces, this is echoing the first transit of the week, which was Mars in Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces. It's helping you take an honest look at your self-worth, your values, to really be truthful if your self-worth and values are being reflected in your relationships. If not, how can you be more compassionate with yourself in order to not give more than you should? Or is it the other way around? Are you taking advantage of somebody? Are you demanding more than you should? Perhaps you need to be more compassionate or empathetic to the people that you're in relationship with. But these 4 transits, Neptune direct in Pisces, Mercury in Scorpio opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus, Venus in Sagittarius square the North Node in Pisces, and Mercury in Scorpio trine Neptune in Pisces. They're all encompassing the relationships in your life, the most intimate relationships in your life, and they're asking you, are you being honest? Are you being honest with yourself or the people that you're intimate with? If not, why not? What is your reasoning for censoring yourself? Are there feelings of guilt and shame that are preventing you from opening up and truly being yourself? Being truthful? And if so, what can you revolutionize about your self-worth, your values, or how you communicate with others so that you do feel valued, so that you do feel lifted and respected and appreciated, and so that the people in your life, they feel appreciated, respected, and lifted by you as well. The 6th transit of the week, Mercury, transits into Sagittarius. This happens on Thursday, December 11th, and continues until January 1st. The truth comes out. Mercury was just in Sagittarius the first 6 degrees from October 29th to November 18th. That was just the first 6 degrees. Now it goes through the whole sign. And so whatever you're holding back, when we think about those last 4 transits 2 through 5 that we just talked about. If you're holding back, when Mercury transits into Sagittarius on Thursday, whatever's being held back is coming out now. Maybe not on Thursday, but certainly through the end of sometime during the end of December. From December 11th to January 1st, the truth is coming out. And remember what we've talked about so much in the last few weeks. The truth hurts, but then the truth will set you free. People are going to be really honest with you about how they feel. Boy, did I get that during this whole pregnancy. And ouch, did it hurt sometimes. So, but it's important. It's important to know how people really feel. Don't we want to know? Don't you want to know how people really feel about you? Or do you want to live with the rose-colored glasses on? I mean, sometimes I'll admit I want to live with the rose-colored glasses on, but ultimately, I want the truth. You know, it's like I always say on here, hey, leave a comment. Tell me how much you like the show. Because, man, when somebody reaches out and said, yeah, I didn't like this, or I don't like, oh, God, it hurts. But it always makes me think. And maybe I change something. Maybe I shift something. Or maybe I go deeper into myself and recognize why it hurts so much, because I'm not loving myself in the way that I should. That I'm looking for validation outside of myself. This Mercury in Sagittarius is going to help you see, hopefully, the bigger picture of who you are and who you're connected to. Now, for context, of course, think back to all of these dates we mentioned. The last time Mercury transited through Sagittarius was just most recently, October 29th to November 18th, but that was just the first. That was from degrees 0 to 6. So it's really 7 degrees because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 7 degrees of Sagittarius. But the last time Mercury transited all the way through Sagittarius was November 2nd, 2024 to January 8th, 2025. The time before that was December 23rd, 2023 to January 13th, 2024, which was just degrees 22 to 29. That was also during a retrograde period. The time before that was November 9th to December 1st, 2023. The time before that was November 17th to December 6th, 2022. And the time before that was November 24th to December 13th, 2021. So I give you those dates because, you know, if you can go back and look at your emails, your text messages, or photos, or social media posts, you know, maybe that will give you some insight. It's a reminder of what was going on in your life during that period, which will give you some context in terms of what could be in store for you this time around when Mercury transits all the way through Sagittarius from December 11th to January 1st. But during this period, open up, be honest, don't hide from the truth, tear the filter off of your mouth. You know, you might upset some people, but that's okay because you're going to hurt some people with the truth. It doesn't mean that you should try to hurt people with the truth, but the truth simply hurts sometimes, even if you're being nice about how you're delivering it. So if we can, try not to be so blunt. Try to be compassionate, just thinking about all the Pisces planets, Neptune, Saturn, and then the North Node. Being compassionate, it's like, okay, well, how would I feel if I said this to somebody? Or if somebody said this to me, how would I feel? Really spend some time thinking about it. Be patient. Remember, Sagittarius is symbolized by the archer. The archer is patient. The archer is patient. If you're, you've seen so many times in the movies where like they're telling the army is charging towards you and are charging towards one army, and the other army that is being charged towards, they've got the archers waiting, and the guy says, hold, and it's like, how can you hold when these people are chasing at you with swords and they're on horseback? But if you fire it too soon, the arrow's just going to hit the ground. It's not going to hit the target. So there's a lot of patience with Sagittarius. Don't rush to judgment. Don't rush to judgment. Really recognize when you are wanting to rush to judgment, because if you're wanting to rush to judgment, that shows there's some discomfort. So what is in that discomfort for you? Be honest about that. Now, I know I've shared a lot of gratitude for everyone in this episode, but I also want to just share some more about my gratitude, because I just remembered that, Spotify, they send out this like year in review, and I just want to thank you listeners. This podcast was played over 38,000 times in 2025, which is wild to me. Over 38,000 times this podcast was played in 2025. I think just on Spotify. I don't know if it's all platforms, but I mean, it just seems like a lot. My new total audience went up 318% from last year, so that's amazing. You listeners spent 852,000 minutes listening to this podcast. That is just, I feel so grateful for that, because, I'm sitting just here in my office, in my house, doing this podcast for free. And so to know that you're out there, you're listening, and you care, and this is helping you, that's why I'm doing this. I really appreciate it. What else were some of these stats that they shared that was interesting? So, this show was in the top 5% of videos on Spotify. That's super wild. So I'm in the top, the weekly transit is in the top 5% of videos on Spotify. That blows my mind. Thank you for that, listeners. I wouldn't be here without you. This podcast has been played in 56 countries. During 2025. Number 1, the United States. Number 2, Canada. Number 3, Australia. Number 4, United Kingdom. And number 5, Germany. Wow. Cool. And 1,000 of the listeners, this show was one of your top 10 shows that you're listening to on Spotify. I was in the top 5 for 709 listeners. 709 of you listening out there have me in the top 5. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm the number 1 show for 218 people out there. That's blows my mind. It's amazing. And just to get some of the demographics, this was funny to me. So the demographics of the listeners on this show. So the top artists for you, the listeners who are listening to the weekly transit. Anyone want to guess who? Let's start from 5 to 1. Okay, the number 5 artists that you are all listening to. The listeners of the weekly transit. The number 5 artist is Lana Del Rey. Number 4 is Kendrick Lamar. My neighbor. He's in Compton. I'm in Long Beach. Number 3 is Morgan Wallen. Number 2 is Bad Bunny. And the number 1 top artist listened to by the listeners of the Weekly Transit, you guessed it, Taylor Swift. That's probably the number 1 on every podcast. So anyway, I just thought that was funny or interesting. As far as like audiobooks, the number 5 audiobook is The House of My Mother by Sherry Franca. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm so sorry to Sherry, but Sherry's audiobook is the 5th most listened book of the listeners of the Weekly Transit. Number 4 is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I saw speak in person one time in a very small venue. Number 3 is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I think I'm saying that right. And then number 2 is The Let Them Theory in 10 Minutes by N.M. Casanova, which is condensed insights on the book by Mel Robbins, who's somebody who I mention a lot, Mel Robbins. That's a great audiobook for everybody who was born with the North Node in Aries. Check out Mel Robbins' Let Them, and check out her 5-second rule. She, of course, is a North Node in Aries. I don't know if she knows that about herself, but she's clearly become somebody who is following her North Node, because she's literally writing about what it means to follow the North Node in Aries without saying follow the North Node in Aries. And then the number 1 audiobook listened to by the listeners of the Weekly Transit are 12 Laws of the Universe by Manhardeep Singh. So if you don't know those audiobooks, check them out. And maybe you'll enjoy them, because other folks who listen to the Weekly Transit are enjoying those audiobooks. So fans listen to the Weekly Transit longer than 98% of other shows. The Weekly Transit received more comments than 99% of other shows. And the Weekly Transit was shared more than 96% of the other shows. Had more shares than 96% of other shows. So, wow. Thank you for your amazing support. I really appreciate you. Now, back to the rest of the transits. The 7th transit of the week, the Sun in Sagittarius square the Moon in Virgo. This is the half moon or the quarter moon. It's at 12:52 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday, December 11th, the same day that Mercury transits into Sagittarius. The Sun in Sagittarius squares the Moon in Virgo. This is really the hard critical truths, because the Moon is the emotions, Virgo is the mutable earth sign symbolized by the Virgin. Very critical, very analytical. And there are just it's the hard, honest truths here. The hard, honest truths. So when you're thinking about everything else that's going on during the week, with all that Pisces energy squaring off with the Sagittarius energy, and it's bubbling up all the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame, and you're being honest and open about that. The Moon in Virgo is saying it's being harsh. It's being critical. It's the harsh truth. So, but you don't want to be too harsh, because then you might, sometimes you have to be, but the tension here is about finding that through line of being honest and constructive. How can you be honest and constructive rather than honest and overly critical where you're hurting somebody? Mercury The 8th transit of the week involves Mercury in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto in Aquarius. This occurs from Thursday to Sunday, December 11th to the 14th, with the exact sextile occurring on Saturday, December 13th. And just a reminder with regards to that half moon, I got my moon cycle classes coming up this next week. It's just one class, and in that class we're talking about the new moon in Sagittarius and the full moon in Cancer. We're going to go over it in detail and what that means, the full moon and the new moon in every house, so that you can apply it to your own chart. Go to theweeklytransit.com to enroll. So Mercury in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And going back to those earlier transits, the intensity of Mercury in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus and even forming the trine with Neptune in Pisces, it's bringing up a lot in terms of relationships. And whatever it's bringing up is gonna bring about some changes. And so Mercury in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto, the planetary ruler of Scorpio, the god of death, lord of the underworld, the planet of transformation, transiting through Aquarius, the fixed air sign symbolized by the water bearer, transforming the community. In order to transform the community, you have to transform. And part of that transformation is through honesty. Again, being encouraged to be honest, to be open, to be truthful. The group, the club, the organization, we all want to fit in to some degree. We want to be loved, we want to be respected, we want to be appreciated. But are you being true to yourself in the process? If you're not being true to yourself in the process, then the respect that you're receiving from the group is not really the respect of you. You're not being respected. You're not being appreciated because it's not you. It's who you're pretending to be. And so this transit from Thursday to Sunday, peaking on Saturday, December 13th, is bringing the truth to fruition. It's bringing it out into the town square where you can no longer hide from who you are. You know, I mentioned, I think last week, that Gabriella and I had been binging the show Nashville. And there's one storyline in that show where there's like a country music singer who's in the closet. And it's just so frustrating and heartbreaking, and just, you really feel for the guy. But then you also get frustrated with him at times too. But it's like, I don't know what it's like to be in those shoes. But this transit of Mercury in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto in Aquarius, it creates that opportunity to really open up in a way that you never have before. And maybe the people around you, some of them aren't going to like you. But ultimately, the right people are. And there's, you know, the show Nashville, it has some great moments and it has some moments that aren't so great, but there's some really good moments with this character, the Will Lexington character, where you see people supporting him and the challenges that they face in doing so. But that's how you truly find the right people around you. Don't you want people around you that truly love and support you for who you are, rather than for who you think they want you to be? That's the gift of this aspect, this 8th transit. Mercury in Sagittarius, Sextile, Pluto in Aquarius. The 9th transit of the week, Mars in Sagittarius, square Neptune in Pisces. The final degree, very intense. This is where the truth comes out, and this is happening around the same time as Mercury in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto in Aquarius. It's maybe bringing out the ugly truth. It's maybe stirring things up deep within your psyche that you're like, oh my God, I didn't want to know this was there. This is from Thursday to Monday, December 11th to the 15th, with the exact square Sunday, December 14th. The key to this transit is really slow down. Don't act out of the discomfort. Allow yourself to be in the discomfort. Allow yourself to really focus on the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame that you've been avoiding. Because if you try to rush out of the discomfort of whatever this transit is bringing for you, the end of this week and early next week, that's where you may find yourself walking into a window. Slow down. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with others. Be compassionate and empathetic through your actions, not just your words, through what you're showing the people around you. The 10th transit of the week, after Mars makes that difficult square with Neptune, it's like flying in the fog, driving in the fog. You got to slow down. You might run into something. Mars in Capricorn, the 10th transit of the week. Mars transits into Capricorn, where it will remain from December 14th to January 23rd. Dates that Mars has transited through Capricorn previously: January 4th to February 12th, 2024, January 24th to March 5th, 2022, February 16th to March 30th, 2020. The fateful beginning of COVID. Now that Mars has transited through Sagittarius and we've learned to act truthfully, to act righteously, to live freely through our actions. Now when Mars transits into Capricorn, the cardinal Earth sign symbolized by the goat, the sign where Mars is exalted, you are recognizing what is really worth the climb. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the god of wealth and time. What is worth your time? What is worth your time? What is worth the climb? What is worth your time? What is worth your effort? What are you climbing towards? What do you want to achieve? Is what you want to achieve worthy of your legacy? It's something I've been thinking about a lot. When I was a kid at Sunday school, they had us tape a gold crayon on a paper plate, and we wrote out on the paper plate, Tajarian, worth its weight in gold. And my dad hung that up in our kitchen, and it was there my entire childhood. I don't know what happened to that. I have to ask my mom if she still has it, but the imprint is clear as yesterday. I was probably 7 years old, and my dad pointed that, and he said, "You see that, son? That's not just your name. That's my name. That's your mom's name. That's your sister's name. That's your grandfather's name. The way that you conduct yourself is reflected upon all of us because we share the same name." And now, I've given that name to my 2 children. And so I think about the work that I do here on the podcast with clients. It's just really important for me to remember that message from my father when I was a child. The way that I conduct myself is reflective of more than just me. And that's what Mars in Capricorn is reminding you about. That everything you spend your time on is a reflection of you and who you are. And thinking about the transits earlier in the week that involve all Saturn and Neptune and the North Node in Pisces, maybe you think about what you've been doing with your time. You're like, oh, I'm a loser. I'm a horrible person. I hate myself. I'm ashamed of this. I regret that. Well, show yourself compassion. Because let's not focus on the time lost. Let's focus on the time that you have right now. How are you utilizing and using the time that you have right now? What are you using that time to work towards? What are you working to achieve that when it's all said and done and people look back at your life and they talk about you, what is that legacy? From mid-December to the end of January, as Mars transits through Capricorn, I know this is a time where so many people put out their New Year's resolutions. Their New Year's resolutions. This is the time to get the engine going, to really think about, how do I want to start off this next year, which is a 1. 2 plus 2 plus 6 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. It's a beginning. Perfect that Mars is in Capricorn to start the new year. It's really great. Take advantage of it. Take that first step and follow it up with the second and third and fourth and climb step by step, ledge by ledge to something that is worthy of you in your best possible way. The best version of yourself, where you can look back and say, I'm proud of what I did. I gave everything that I could give to something that had meaning to me. Such an opportunity the end of this year and into next year. With Mars in this powerful position, a position where it's exalted, because in order to climb, you need action and strength, and that's what Mars is. It's helping to give you the confidence in yourself to believe that you are worthy of achieving what it is you want to achieve. And you are worthy of it. That's why, during the birth of my children, it's such an internal wreck. Oh God, looking at the time, looking at the planets. The next time the planets and stars will be aligned in this way is over 25,000 years from the date, time, and place of your birth. Oh my God, they got to get it right. Oh my God. But release and have faith. Release control. Oh God, so much. So much we want to control, so little to control. The one thing that you can control with this Mars in Capricorn is how you're spending your time and what you're spending your time on. The rest you have to have faith. The final transit of the week, the Sun in Sagittarius, Trine, Chiron, Retrograde in Aries. This occurs from Friday to Monday, with the exact trine occurring the same day as Mars' entry into Capricorn, the same day that Mars in Sagittarius squares Neptune and Pisces before Mars transits into Capricorn, Sunday, December 14th. This is highlighting our fears because the Sun is the planet of light, life, and vitality. Chiron is the wound and the ancient wisdom which is unlocked through healing that wound. Transiting retrograde through the cardinal fire sign, symbolized by the ram and ruled by Mars, Aries. This is highlighting our fears and insecurities. Okay, Scott, I just climbed towards my dreams and goals and ambitions. So much easier said than done. I know, I get it. But what are the fears that are holding you back? What are those voices that are saying, I'm not good enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. Whatever it is that you're putting in your mind that says that you're unworthy. I can't. And maybe you can't. And that's okay. But this is highlighting those fears and insecurities. Because when you recognize that you can't, then you're looking at, why can't I? Is it really something that is holding me back? Is that legitimate? Or is it something internal that I can overcome? I don't know what the answer is for you. But the truth is meant to be revealed here. The truth about what you fear and the deeper meaning behind those fears. The bigger picture of those fears. And hopefully through recognizing what those fears are and facing them rather than hiding from them, you will find the courage within yourself to transmute those fears into achievements, into accomplishments. Because that's what's possible for you. Face your fears and run through them. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you feel empowered going into the week ahead. I'm grateful for your time in listening to me, and I'll look forward to reconnecting with you next week. Thank you for listening to the weekly transit. If you're curious to learn how these transits or any other transits may be affecting you, or if you're interested in learning more about your astrological code, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog-Lyman. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.